It's Anushka Sharma's first film as a producer, and to talk about it, we're now welcoming her to our newsroom. Ma'am, welcome, and welcome also to Darshan and Neil. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome to the newsroom. You like our newsroom?
It's amazing. I like the fact that the trailer is playing such a big screen, and as I requested, you keep it playing even after we're gone.
Oh, absolutely. This will play from now till the time the film NH10 comes out. Okay, great. So, Anushka, tell us this. Why would a star at such a young age want to go from being a full-time actress to also helping out with production? Why would you want to take on the burden of trying to produce a film?
I really believed in this story. I thought it was a very original script, something that I hadn't read before, leave alone seen. When I really believed in this project and we started discussing about how to put it together, how to make it happen and make the film the way it's meant to be made, I think it just seemed like a more commercially viable option for me to come on board as a producer and not just as an actor, because being an actor obviously comes with a certain amount of burden for the film itself in terms of your remuneration and everything. But when you come kind of like, okay, fine, I'm here to, just be a part of this film and get involved with a certain amount of risk sharing with, with the film, it gets easier to put up a project like this.
Does it make life tougher for the co-actor who also has to deal with the actress who's also now as producer, his boss?
Actually, no, because Anushka was only focused on being the actress. So, like she had mentioned, in previous conversations, that most of the co-production or the producer of Tar is before our film shoot and then post the schedule. So it was it was a clear demarcation, and there was no mixing of the two compounds.
Okay, I was reading somewhere that you stayed away from Anushka during the shooting of the film. Why don't you tell our viewers about it? I find that quite strange. You're on the same set, but you don't want to talk to the lady who's also part of the film.
Yeah. She was smelly.
No, because she's so damn beautiful. She's so caring, warm. You don't feel like you can hit her after that point. If we will go in the realistic way, this film is very realistic film, and I thought as an actor I'll give her just because our chemistry is totally different, very strange in the film. So I thought as an actor, if I'll keep the realistic kind of thing, so it will give me a different kick, and I think audience also will like something
Anushka,
different.
has this happened to you earlier, where an actor decides to stay away from you? What do you think of this?
No, it hasn't happened, but I was glad it happened with a film like this, because like he said, the kind of relationship that our characters have in the film is very unusual. In fact, the first time that I met Darshan was not like how you meet somebody, hey, hi, I'm Anushka, I'm Darshan, how's it going? The first time I met him was when our director Navdeep got me and Neil on set and made these guys, the villains, enact this whole scene, and they improvised a particular scene, and it was so intense and so brutal that I was actually petrified of him. So I actually thought that he actually comes from that place, and I really didn't know. I didn't even ask questions. Yeah, I judged him. I totally did. And I didn't even ask questions. I didn't ask questions about him. And then after, I just want to keep that in, in my head, because when you see it, realize the kind of fear that my character and Neil's character has, for these guys. And I think that comes out really well, because it's a very realistic film. We shot in real locations. I think the performances are very, very, very organic. So just to get all that, going, we had to adopt such methods.
Yeah. And you also ran into a lot of trouble with the censors. They literally came with a big scissor. We got a new censor board. They're running after a scissor, wanting to chop your film off.
See, in real life, we use these curse kind of words. Every time we use when we are in some particular situation. So that's we do in real life also. But when it's showing in the film, that's it, and after getting a certificate, so then it's annoying.
Most filmmakers and actors prefer to compromise, try and ensure that they get a U certificate so that more and more people can watch this. Instead, you said that no, I want the film the way it is, regardless of how many cuts go through it.
Yeah, because that's the script you read, that's the film that you liked, and then as you go along, if you start kind of making compromise with it, then you're making shoddy work. You're not being true to what you went out there to make in the first place. I mean, we fought a lot to make a film like this happen. It's not easy to as much as there's an audience, there's a huge growing audience for a film like NH10, and we have experienced that since the trailer came out and people are like, oh my god, when is it releasing, we want to watch it. So people want to watch these films, but it's not like a very, very obvious decision for people in the business to make such films, because it rides on just content, and it's a little difficult to push your content till the first date of your release, so hence we as people have to stick together and be like, let's pull it through with our conviction, and that's what we did, and we are very happy with the way it looks.
Do you think that there is this entire movement where freedom of speech is under some kind of threat with an entire list of cuss words, which are very commonly used in just discourse and conversation, where the new censor board doesn't seem to like any of those words.
You know, it is what you just said, but it's not just curbing our freedom of speech just in cinema. You know, like I was reading the ticker, which I have been aware of, India's Daughter being banned, and right now I read that it opened to a star-studded opening in America, the documentary. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Right. So the more we try and suppress something, it becomes a bigger deal. There's too much importance given to something trivial, in my opinion. And I don't know why that's happening. So most of, you know, we're going around talking about the film, and there's so many people who've come on board to make this film happen. But maybe 50% of our conversation is about the cuss words, and it's not even about that. When they were shooting, there was a lot of improv, dialogues were improvised, and that's what comes naturally. So
how does Bollywood intend to fight this? Now that you've got a super censor who clearly had, and I was looking at some of the words that they had a problem with, some of it is frankly ridiculous. And several of the movies and big songs of the past, Bhag, DK Bose Bhag, all that now no longer can fly because our censor won't allow it. How do you intend to deal with that?
I think what we are trying to do, which has happened also, that there have been like some meetings that have happened with the INB ministry where we've discussed all these issues because it obviously affects us on a large level. And they're not. It's not just this. There are a lot of things that have been spoken that kind of need to fly so that we are able to then make cinema, and that's what we're meant to do. And like our stories don't come from like some kind of imagination. They're not like fantasy tales. None of the stories. They all come from reality, right? So we are trying to portray that, and they're not being able to do that. It's very frustrating for us because it kind of kills our creative, our creative freedom, which is how we function. I mean, that's how. As children, all of us, if we work in films, directors, writers, actors, we thought a certain way. That's why we came so far in life, because that's how our brain works.
Does it put more pressure on you? The fact that there is no big major Khan in the film or an Akshay Kumar to help you with, I mean, these are fabulous actors, of course, but the fact is that there is more pressure on you in the absence of one of the big superstars.
Well, I wouldn't say, I don't feel that way, because I feel confident about this because I'm backed by a very good story and very different storytelling, and a very, very accomplished director who's made a fantastic film with Manorama 6 Feet Under. And I think I come from the generation of actors where we have grown up seeing certain kind of films, right? So we want to make that, because that's what we understand. That's what our understanding of cinema and stories are. So we want to make that. So in a way, I mean, I actually feel happy that I can actually follow my conviction, and I can follow my gut feeling strongly, and now finally do such films.
Okay, great. Thank you all so much for joining us. Are you also getting an opportunity to follow the World Cup, the both of you?
Not so much. I'm not such an avid.
You don't like cricket at all?
I mean, I'm not such an avid.
What about you?
I do, but because of the promotions, we are not getting chance to watch.
So what are you more stressed about? The promotions or cricket?
Promotions right now.
What do you do?
And catching a flight.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we wish you and your film all the best.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thanks.